Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about forgiving yourself and learning from past mistakes. We have all done things in our lives that we may not be proud of. And that can be anywhere from not being kind to someone else, to making financial mistakes, to just knowing that we aren't living our best life. You know, sometimes when we go through life and we're just phoning it in, we realize later, like, I should have done more, I should have been better. And we can feel feelings of guilt and shame. And I was listening to Oprah the other day. She had, it was her Soul Sunday conversations, and she had Brene Brown on. She was talking about what is your shame story. And I thought that was interesting because that's not something that people usually bring up. It's not something people want to talk about. But we all have one. Each and every one of us has things in our lives that we're not proud of, and that we would change if we could go back and change it. But the truth is that, at least on earth, time is linear, and we can't go back and change things that we've done. So we have to instead figure out how we're going to move forward and how we're going to live with what we've done. How can we take these feelings that we have about what we've done and turn them into something good rather than something bad, rather than saying, I'm so mad at myself, I can't believe I did this, why wasn't I better about this? Instead of beating ourselves up, we should be taking it and saying, okay, how can I use this in the future to make myself a better person? And we also have to be able to take those feelings of coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? We have to take those guilty feelings and the shame feelings, and we have to forgive ourselves for that. There are a lot of people who walk around and they say, oh, I did this and I shouldn't have done that. And then they just hold on. They express the regret, but they hold on to it. And they don't try to do anything with it. And I'm here to tell you that if you're one of those people, if that's what you do, you're going to make yourself physically sick, because feelings like guilt and shame, those things will eat you alive, literally. I've often heard that feelings of like unforgiveness and that can be related to cancer. I don't know how true that is. I haven't read all of the scientific data, but it makes sense to me. Because when we hold on to feelings that aren't serving us, it drains our energy. And when our energy is drained, our immune system is compromised. I can tell you that firsthand, because after all of the stressful things that I've been through the last few weeks, on top of it, I got the flu. And I went to the doctor and she said, oh yeah, you've been really stressed out, so it makes sense that your immune system was compromised, and so you got this. But I think that was a lesson for me too, in not allowing myself to get to that point. You know, I've got to be better about taking care of myself and not allowing my energy to be drained to the point of making myself sick. And in the same way, we have to be better about letting things go so that they don't resurface and that they don't make us sick. And you know, I've already talked about this before, but when we don't heal our stuff, when we don't heal our issues, they don't go away. And what happens is we usually see that stuff resurfacing in other areas of our lives, whether it's in relationships or in future situations. You know, if you don't resolve this, you may keep making the same mistakes and repeating the same patterns of behavior because you haven't addressed it. So why is it important to forgive yourself? Why is it important, and why is it so hard to do? Well, it's so important because we know that when we forgive, it lightens our load. It lifts a burden off of us. But we often only think about forgiving others. We don't realize that that includes forgiveness for ourselves. There have been a lot of things in my life that I need forgiveness for, that I forgive myself for. One of the big things, too, is when I first started my business, I wasn't that great at managing the finances when it came to the business. So I acquired some debt. And it's like getting better, and I made a plan for it to get better, but I still look at some of the choices that I made and think, why did I do that? But I had to forgive myself for those money mistakes because I was just learning. And I was just reading this quote the other day. It came up. Maya Angelou said, you do the best until you know better, and then when you know better, you do better, and that's a paraphrase, but it's true. I didn't understand what I was doing and how that was going to affect my finances at the time. And so for me to be mad at myself or upset or worried, that's not going to do anything useful. Instead, it's a lesson of, because I know at the time I was not listening to my intuition, and I know that. And now this is a lesson for me that in the future, you need to listen to your intuition. Like, be the ultimate Karen and imagine that your intuition is a manager. You need to speak to the manager every time. And I have to start being better about going with my gut and listening to that intuition in the first place. And so I think that there are a lot of people out there who have things like that. Like either it's problems with money or even in your relationship. Maybe you're in a relationship and you've taken a back seat and you've allowed your partner to steer the ship and your needs have gone unmet and you feel like you don't matter and that your partner isn't treating you with the utmost respect. I've been there too. Absolutely been there too, multiple times, because that was a lesson that I needed to learn. In my first marriage, I had to learn to stand up for myself and to walk away from what wasn't serving me. And even now, I could look at that situation and say, I'm so mad that I stayed as long as I did, because had I left and I just cut that off completely, I could have spared my children all these years and maybe it would have been better. But going to that place isn't helpful. I can't go back and change time. But I can learn that when I start to see those same patterns, that I need to get the heck out of Dodge. I need to start paying attention to when my gut is telling me, hey, you're not being treated well. And that was an over-the-top case because my first relationship was extremely toxic and abusive, and that was not very hard to see. But then in the case of this past relationship that I've had, like one that was a little bit, just like a few years ago, I got the intuitive gut hits that, hey, you're not being treated with respect. And it was just subtle, small ways, and I tried to ignore it. And as I often say, when you try to ignore things, the universe will move you. And that's exactly what happened. It was like a tower moment happened. And it was one that kind of brought me to my knees a little bit. But I knew exactly why it happened. I knew that this was the universe saying, you know what? You were ignoring your intuition. You kept getting these intuitive hits that you should be walking away because you knew you were being disrespected and you didn't do it. So we walked you away, and that's exactly what happened. And I could sit there and just say, I wish I could go back and change things, but I can't. So instead, what I can say is, in the future, I know that when I start feeling the way I was feeling, I need to listen and I need to do something. That I will never again allow myself to be treated the way that I was. When someone disrespects me, that I'm going to stand up for myself. And I have to forgive myself, or I had to, because I've already done this, for my part in this relationship. Because we are 100% responsible for our parts in our relationship. So even if you're with a partner who is the absolute worst, let's say that they're, and I'm not insulting anyone's partner, but you know what I mean, they're like not being respectful to you at all. It's partly your responsibility because it's your job to advocate for yourself. It's your job to stand up to that person, to get out, to get help, whatever you need. And I understand that in very toxic relationships, in extreme cases, it's hard because you're manipulated and there's mind games and different things that go on. There are so many organizations out there who can help you, and you need to get help. It is never okay to stay in a situation like that, especially if you have children, because you're teaching them that it's okay for them to be treated that way as well, or to treat others that way. And it's really your responsibility to get out. And it took me longer than it should have to do what I did. But I think the important thing is getting out. And then forgiving yourself for allowing yourself to be disrespected. Because honestly, it truly is, as hard as that is to understand sometimes, it is our responsibility. I don't care what happened to you as a kid, and I don't say that to be mean, because we all have stories from our past that, some of us have tough stuff. As a kid, we can't help what happened to us. But as an adult, it's 100% our responsibility to fix ourselves. And if we go into that, well, it's not fair, I'm not the one who broke myself, stop, because you're just being a victim. And a victim is someone who's powerless, and you're not powerless, you're powerful. In fact, the universe wants you to show how truly powerful you are by stepping into that power and saying, you know what, it stops here. This poor me stops here. This I can't do it, it stops here. This I can't do it because that stops here. No excuses. No excuses. We were not meant to live a life where we're miserable. So if you're in a situation where you're miserable, the universe is telling you, fix it, get out. And I understand that it may be easier said than done, but I also have been where you've been, and I have had to crawl my way out of what I thought I would never be able to get out of. So I'm here to tell you that you can do it too. It's time to start standing up. It's time to have a backbone. It's time to start speaking up for yourself. And it's time to forgive yourself for all of the times that you didn't do that. There were a lot of times in my life where I did not stand up for what I believed in. I didn't stand up for what was right. I did what was easiest because I just didn't want the fight. And I can tell you that that did not serve me at all. So for myself, there are a lot of things that I have to go back and say, I'm so sorry to myself. I have to forgive myself for not being my own advocate. Yesterday's podcast was all about standing up for yourself and being an advocate for yourself. There's a lot of times in my life when I didn't do that. So part of my forgiveness is going back and saying, okay, I should have done that. And since I didn't, I need to forgive myself for failing myself. And I don't want you to forgive yourself and then continue to feel bad. That's not what it's about. Forgiving yourself is about releasing the feelings of frustration, resentment, anger, guilt. It's all of that, releasing all of that. And there are a lot of ways we can forgive ourselves. I've talked about this before, but if you go to Radical Forgiveness, which is an amazing website, they have a free tools page, and on their free tools page, they have worksheets that you can work through and you put your own name in there, and whatever situation is still plaguing you, you may have one situation that stands out to you that you really need to forgive, or you might just see a pattern of behavior, like all of the times that I listen to other people instead of listening to myself, whatever it might be. And you can go through and do the steps to forgiveness for yourself for whatever it is that you need forgiveness. I highly recommend it. Again, it's just radical forgiveness, RADICAL, and then forgiveness, radical forgiveness. Just go to their website, and it's under the free tools, and you will see those worksheets, and it's amazing. It really does help yourself. It really does. And you can also do a tapping. Search for Brad Yates on YouTube, or you can just search EFT, tapping, forgiveness. But he's one that has so many that are really good. But there are other people as well. So just search EFT and tapping and forgiveness in YouTube, and you'll come up with a lot of tappings there. I also have a forgiveness prayer that you can do. And I am going to say this prayer with you now. And if you want to say it along with me, or if you just want to listen, or if you want to, say it in your head, whatever, you can do that. And know that there will be places where you put in your own, like what you need forgiving, and then the emotion that it causes you to hold on to that. So the other thing, and I'll say that prayer in a minute, is to journal. I love journaling. I think it's such an amazing way to really get out your emotions. Just sit down and really think about, what do I need to forgive myself for? And all of the things that come up, just jot it down. And then you can just look at everything you've written down and just say, okay, universe, I forgive myself for doing and list the things and that making me feel this way, and I'm not going to carry that burden anymore. And then you can burn the paper, or you can tear it up. To me, it's just, when I do that, it's symbolic of, this is not going to haunt me anymore. I'm not bringing this with me anymore. It's done. All right, guys, so here's the forgiveness prayer. Dear, and insert your own name here. What you did caused me much hurt, anger, and then fill in whatever emotion you're feeling right now here. I forgive you because I choose to feel better. I'm choosing to let go, not because I believe that what you did was right, but because I want to release the feelings that are weighing me down. I release you and what you did, along with those burdensome feelings. I send love to you and to myself. I ask Archangel Michael to cut the cords that bind you or what you did to me. I choose to feel better. Amen. All right, and you can say that prayer anytime you need it. The other thing is, I think that most people don't realize that forgiveness is like cutting an energetic cord to you and the other person. But when it's yourself, it's cutting the cord to you and those feelings that you're feeling, like guilt and shame. It's getting rid of those shame stories. They don't have to define you. It doesn't have to be what you think of when you think of your past. Instead, you can think of your past in a positive way without those feelings of regret. And most of all, it is peace for you, giving yourself peace and permission just to live a life that is peaceful. And I love that. I pulled a card for you guys today, and this is from the Mystical Shaman's Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And we got the Snake Spirit. It's in reverse, so it's time to heal. No matter how much you may have lost or how you may have been disappointed, you are called by Snake Spirit to shed the past and practice radical self-acceptance now. Only by forgiving yourself can you move on, regardless of whether anyone else is ready for healing. When your tender new skin first becomes exposed, you may feel uncomfortable. Love yourself and remain vulnerable anyway. You have been weak, but now you are becoming strong and developing wisdom, and you will do better in the future. Snake Spirit reminds you that hearts can be so easily wounded. Apologies and amends go a long way. Self-forgiveness for your role in what happened can help you heal. Remember, it is the one who has been wounded who often has the greatest power to help others heal. And I love that. I think that's so great. And how fitting to go along with the message today. And it's not lost on me that the word radical is in her card, and then we talk about doing radical forgiveness. That's crazy. I love how the universe works. So, dears, don't hold on to the resentment, the fear, the guilt, the shame. Let that stuff go. It's too heavy to hold on to, and you don't need to carry that burden anymore. All right, guys, well, I want to thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please share it with others. That helps others to find me. Also, if you would leave me a review from wherever you're listening, that also helps others find me. And I want to thank you so much for those who've done that. If you've purchased my book, Beautifully Broken, The Spiritual Woman's Guide to Thriving, Not Simply Surviving a Divorce or Breakup. I was just talking to a friend of mine who read the book, and he said he's never been divorced, and he's not a woman, obviously. And he said, I hope more men read this because I thought it was really helpful, and it had a lot of really great tools in there. And he said, in some points I was crying, and then I would go to laughter. So if you haven't read the book, pick up your copy today. It's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Goodreads, either an ebook. The ebook is only $7.95, or the paperback is $14.95. And I swear I have submitted the audiobook. That should be coming any day now, too. So if you enjoy listening to my podcast, I am the one who reads the audiobook. So you will enjoy that. If you have purchased my book and you still want to get in on the contest, there's still one more day. Just take a photo of yourself reading the book, even if it's on your Kindle. Tag me in your comment, and I will enter you to win a free session with me. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I go live on Facebook Mondays at 5:30 Central. If you're there live, I do pick cards for people, so it's like a free mini reading for you. If you watch the replay and you comment and let me know you were there for the replay, I pick a few people who watch the replay to also send a message to via Facebook Messenger. And I post videos to IGTV. You can go to my website, melissaoatman.com, if you would like to work with me. I do one-on-one coaching, and I can coach you in any area of your life. I connect to your guides and my guides to figure out what we need to work on the most. And you can also tell me, this is what I would like to work on, and we will definitely work on that. I do card readings. I also do past life regression and Reiki sessions. So go to my website, melissaoatman.com. You can check that out. You can also purchase my book from my website and my card deck, Divine Whispers, as well as my class, my online course, Love Your Life. You can find all of the information to that on my website. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you here again soon. Bye, guys.